Here are the top stories for today, June 25, 2021. Tributes and condolences pour in over the passing of former President Benigno Aquino III. A period of national mourning is in effect until July 3 to remember the former executive's legacy. Vaccination is a choice. The Department of Health says the public has autonomy on whether to get vaccinated or not against COVID-19. 10 more cities join the government's priority areas for vaccination as it continues to boost the inoculation drive. The government says the deployment of vaccines also depend on the storage capacity of local government units. And let the games begin or not, the fate of this year's Southeast Asian Games remains hanging as Vietnam continues to monitor the coronavirus situation in capital Hanoi and its suburbs. Good day, I'm Marita Muaje. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte declares a 10-day national mourning over the passing of former President Benigno Noynoy Aquino III. He also urged Filipinos to set aside political differences to pay respect to the former president. President Rodrigo Duterte has declared June 24 to July 3 as a period of national mourning. The president signed a proclamation number 1169 declaring a 10-day mourning period following the death of Aquino on Thursday morning. Under the proclamation, the national flag is flown at half-mast from sunrise to sunset in all government buildings and installations for 10 days. At the Malacanang Palace, national flags were lowered at around 1 p.m. In a statement, the President Duterte urged the public to set aside differences as we pay respect to a leader who has given his best to serve the Filipino people. He also said that the memory and the legacy of the Aquino family of offering their lives for the cause of democracy will forever remain etched in our hearts. Aquino's elder sister Pinky Abellada earlier confirmed that he died of renal disease secondary to diabetes. She said the former had been in and out of the hospital even before the COVID-19 outbreak last year. She said her brother Noy was a very private person but hopes that the Filipinos will best remember how he worked tirelessly for the country. Officials from the provinces also mourned the passing of former President Noynoy Aquino. A quick roundup from Chris Mundo.
In Albay, the Philippine flag is flown at half-mast to honor former President Noynoy Aquino. Albay Governor Al Francis Bichara said this would continue until July 4 as a gesture of Albayanos' respect, honor and recognition of the former president for his exemplary service to the country and the Filipino people. Other political leaders in the Bicol region also expressed their sorrow over the death of the former leader. Sorsogon Governor Francis Cheese Escudero said he was truly saddened to learn the passing of his longtime friend whose presidency been admired by many here and abroad. He said Aquino's understanding of the connection between poverty and corruption resonated well during his administration. Albay's 2nd District Representative Joey Salceda is also deeply saddened and shocked by the sudden passing of former President Noynoy Aquino. He said President Aquino will be remembered for his sincere desire to serve the country. He also said Aquino's expansion of socio-economic programs such as the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program continues to help lift millions out of abject poverty. Meanwhile, local officials in Negros Occidental also mourned the passing of the former President Noynoy Aquino. The Philippine flag has been flown at half-mast at the provincial capital as well as in other cities and municipalities across the province. The Philippine national flag is also flying at half-mast in Iloilo together with its provincial banner in honor of the late president. Iloilo Governor Arthur Defensor Jr. said Aquino's legacy is also best remembered by the Ilonggos, which include the aggressive concreting of their national highways. General Santos City also joined the nation in mourning the passing of the former president. The Philippine flags at the City Hall complex were flown at half-mast as directed by Mayor Ronel Rivera. Aquino visited the city several times to inaugurate various projects during his term from 2010 to 2016. Meanwhile, Lone District Representative and Deputy Speaker Rogelio Pacquiao in Sarangani expressed profound sadness with Aquino's passing. Pacquiao described the late president as a devoted public servant and contributed greatly to the development of the country. He also salutes his extraordinary life and remarkable contributions in the pursuit of democracy and progress. Zamboanga Mayor Maria Isabel Climaco Salazar also paid tribute to former President Noynoy Aquino. Climaco Salazar said among the highlights of Aquino's contributions was the rehabilitation of areas affected by the 2013 siege, which is now 80% complete. Meanwhile, Basilan Representative Mujib Hataman expressed sadness over the passing of Aquino. He said he has high respect for the late president, whom he described as a patriotic and honest leader who loves the country so much. For its part, the Department of Education in Antique said the K-12 program is one of the best legacies of Aquino, as it made Filipino students at a par with their counterparts in other countries. Republic Act No. 10157, or the Kindergarten Education Act, was passed under the Aquino administration, which strengthened early childhood education in the country. The provincial government of Antique also flown the Philippine flag at half-mast at the Antique Capitol ground as they mourn the death of Aquino. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
Newly installed Manila Archbishop Jose Cardinal Advincula has offered prayers to former President Benigno Aquino III, who passed away Thursday morning. The Cardinal prayed for the repose of Aquino's soul at the end of the installation Mass at the Manila Cathedral. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, or CBCP, also expressed sympathies and offered prayers over the death of the country's former president. The Department of Foreign Affairs remembered the late former President Benigno Aquino III for his remarkable legacy on the Philippine foreign policy and national history. The DFA said Aquino elevated the country's conduct of foreign relations, steered foreign policy towards a principled direction that earned international respect and esteem, and invigorated the Foreign Service with a collective sense of patriotism, commitment to service, and professionalism. Other countries and embassies also extend their condolences to the family and loved ones of Aquino. The DFA said Philippine flags in embassies and consulates across the world will be flown at half-mast in honor of the former president. The United Nations meanwhile extolled Aquino for his contribution and services to the Philippines. Under his presidency, the Philippines initiated and overwhelmingly won an arbitration case against China's excessive claims in the South China Sea. UN Philippines President Coordinator Gustavo Gonzalez extends their heartfelt condolences to Aquino's family and friends. Back home, the Supreme Court ordered all flags in courthouses nationwide be flown at half-mast in honor of Aquino. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara said the former president faced daunting tasks in leading the country with enormous social, economic, and political challenges. Guevara served in the latter part of Aquino's administration as Deputy Executive Secretary for Legal Affairs. Meanwhile, SC Senior Associate Justice Marvic Leonen also expressed a profound sadness over Aquino's death. Leonen was appointed by Aquino in 2010 as the government's chief negotiator with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. He said Aquino carried his title with dignity and integrity. Members of the House of Representatives also mourned the passing of former President Noynoy Aquino. They described him as a man of integrity. House Majority Leader Martin Romualdez said Aquino made it his primary mission to institutionalize good governance reforms. For Davao del Norte 1st District Representative Pantaleon Alvarez, he said that while he did not agree with many of the former president's decisions, he never doubted his sincerity in wanting what is best for the country. Meanwhile, ACT-CIS Party List Representative Nina Taduran said Aquino may had hits and misses, but his unrelenting drive to defend the country's rights in the West Philippine Sea shook the feathers of those who are trying to encroach on our territory. She also recognized Aquino's role in putting a dent in the pork barrel scam. And for former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Aquino will be remembered not only for his accomplishments, but also for being part of the family who has contributed 3 important people to the history of our nation, such as Senator Ninoy Aquino and our 11th and 15th presidents, Cory and Noynoy Aquino. Manila and Quezon City joined the nation in mourning the passing of former President Benigno Noynoy Aquino III on Thursday. Both cities lowered their flags at half-mast in honor of the 61-year-old Aquino who succumbed to renal failure secondary to diabetes. Manila Mayor Francisco Dumagoso offered his condolences to the Aquino family while the city was celebrating its 450th anniversary. He praised Aquino for being a champion of good governance reform that promoted efficiency and reduced opportunities for corruption. He also said he was inspired by the former president's unexpected humility. For her part, Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte said Aquino was very passionate about shared progress and had a sincere desire for a better Philippines. Feliciano Belmonte Jr., the mayor's father and House Speaker in the 15th and 16th Congress, also cited the passing of progressive and game-changing laws under Aquino's leadership. Makati City Mayor Abigail Binay and Pasay City Mayor Emmy Calixto Rubiano also expressed their gratitude for Aquino's dedication to public service. Malabon Mayor Lenlen Oreta, meanwhile, described the former president in a Facebook post as a big brother. Muntinlupa Mayor Jaime Fresnedi and San Juan City Mayor Francisco Zamora also extended their condolences to the Aquino family while praising Noynoy's service to the Filipino people. Still to come, the Health Department says vaccine deployment is dependent on the storage facilities LGUs can prepare. And the worst seems far from over in Europe as the COVID-19 Delta variant is seen to be the dominant variant in the continent by August. Details ahead, this is the PNA Newsroom.
The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly changed our lives for the worse. Lives and jobs were lost and economies reached a meltdown. Thanks to the arrival of safe and effective vaccines, we are one step closer to normalcy. It's time to do our part, get vaccinated for our safety and for our recovery.
If you are there in that community, go there and have yourself vaccinated by any of the vaccines available. They are all potent, they are all effective.
I would like to appeal to all our kababayans, please get vaccinated against COVID-19 and be the government partner in preventing further spread of the disease. I encourage you to get vaccinated as the soonest possible time. These vaccines are safe and they are the key to reopening our society. The need for international solidarity and cooperation cannot be made clearer than this pandemic because everyone is safe. No one is safe globally until everybody is safe.
Vaccines work.
Malacanang has announced what it called the inclusion of the NCR Plus 8 Plus 10 in the government's COVID-19 vaccination prioritization. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said the 10 cities that will also be prioritized are Bacolod, Iloilo, Cagayan de Oro, Baguio, Zamboanga, Dumaguete, Tugigaraw, General Santos, Naga, and Legazpi. He said the basis for including these 10 cities in vaccine prioritization is a surge in COVID-19 cases as well as their being highly urbanized and dense environments and their contributions to the economy. Initially, only NCR Plus 8 composed of Metro Manila, Cavite, Laguna, Pampanga, Batangas, Rizal, Bulacan, Metro Davao, Metro Cebu were the areas prioritized for COVID-19 vaccination. Meanwhile, the Department of Health said areas with cold chain facilities and vaccine refrigerators are more likely to receive highly sensitive vaccines such as Pfizer, Moderna, and Sputnik V. In a briefing with local officials and visiting Israeli health experts in Taguig City, Health Undersecretary Mirna Kabutahay said all three vaccines require sub-zero temperatures. She said they will give the appropriate vaccine to those who have the appropriate cold chain. On the other hand, the Sinovac and AstraZeneca vaccines can be deployed anywhere else in the country. Kabutahay said the government's next prioritization is geographic in areas where there are economic hubs. The Department of Health assured that areas with surge in COVID-19 cases, particularly in Mindanao, are getting the necessary support from the government. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said apart from the expanded vaccination program, hospitals in high-risk areas are given mechanical ventilators and oxygen supply systems to make sure symptoms are properly treated. He said they have also instructed regional offices to ensure that the private hospitals expand their COVID-19 bed capacity from 20 to 30% and for the government hospitals from 30 to 50%. The DOH also continues to provide personal protective equipment for healthcare workers. They have also ensured that PhilHealth will immediately cover hospitals for accelerated payment of claims filed between March last year and April this year. Authorities are pointing to the high-risk behavior of millennials as a factor in the surge of COVID-19 cases in Davao City. COVID-19 Task Force focal person Dr. Michelle Closure said millennials or individuals aged 24 to 40 years old tend to socialize and interact frequently, making them highly to get infected. Despite that, Closure said the recovery rate is higher among millennials, adding that they have a large number of asymptomatic patients. On the other hand, mortality is high among seniors due to comorbidities such as cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and being immunocompromised. Acting City Health Office Head Dr. Ashley Lopez said over 13,000 of the 21,000 total cases were in the 20 to 29, 30 to 39, and 40 to 49 age groups, which the millennials belong. The city logged a 74.8% recovery rate and a 3.75% death rate with 829 since March 2020. The Department of Health said the public has autonomy to decide about being vaccinated against COVID-19. DOH Health Promotion Bureau Director Beverly Ho said it is clear to the health sector and the medical practitioners that people can choose for themselves when it comes to their health. Ho said the department still has a responsibility to help the public make informed decisions about vaccination, which would protect them, their families, and their community. To convince the public to receive jobs, the agency uses strong demand generation through information dissemination. This is in reaction to President Rodrigo Duterte's statement early this week to arrest and imprison those who refuse to be inoculated, saying they could be potential carriers of the coronavirus. Health Undersecretary Mirna Kabutahay said Duterte's words should be taken with the context of the importance of vaccines. In our news overseas, authorities warned that the Delta variant of COVID-19 may soon account for nearly all new coronavirus infections in Europe. The European Center for Disease Prevention and Control, or ECDC, said the Delta variant is projected to cause 70 to 90% of new infections in the European Union and the European Economic Area by August. In its latest threat assessment report, the ECDC said that the Delta variant, first detected in India, is 40 to 60% more transmissible than the original strain. The agency also warned that new cases, hospitalizations, and deaths could increase should measures to minimize transmissions, such as physical distancing, hygiene, and use of face masks, be relaxed. The ECDC said the vaccination campaigns must be accelerated. About 30% of individuals older than 80 years and about 40% of individuals older than 60 years have not yet received a full vaccination course in the European Union. Up next, a red tide alert is still up in two Surigao del Sur bays, and another waiting time on whether the SEA Games will push through in Vietnam. We tell you later why. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom. You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. The rehabilitation of Marawi City is now at around 68% as the government inaugurated new roads, a health center, and other essential infrastructure. More on this from Claire Gighe.
More infrastructures under the Bangon Marawi Comprehensive Rehabilitation and Recovery Program have been inaugurated following the recent inspection of the progress of the said rehabilitation. Among the inaugurated projects with the funds from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Marawi Recovery Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Program, where the Rurugagos East Barangay Health Station, Lilud Gimba Bridge along Barangay Kurmatan and Matampay Road, and the Masjid Sumangkop. With this, Task Force Bangon Marawi or TFBM Chairman Secretary Eduardo Del Rosario announced that Marawi's rebuilding process is now about 67 to 68% complete, stating that the rehabilitation process displays progress every month.
With the progress of the different projects being implemented, we can see that every month there is progress, and hopefully some projects will be completed even before December.
He then added that for the next month, they expect to award 170 permanent housing units and inaugurate 3 barangay complexes and 2 to 4 more mosques. Del Rosario also maintained that the road networks, which will signal the return of residents in the most affected area, is on track with its 70% current accomplishment and is seen to be done by September this year. For PNA Newsroom, Claire Gighe of the Philippine Information Agency Iligan City Information Center.
At least 58 residents have been hit by diarrhea in Bacong, Negros Oriental as health authorities continue to trace the possible cause of the disease. Majority of those who fell ill were young people and children. 3 of them, including a child, were hospitalized and 1 was found to be positive for amoebiasis. Most of the patients are recuperating at home with symptoms like fever and vomiting aside from diarrhea. DOH Negros Oriental Provincial Chief Dr. Socrates Villamor said the surge of diarrhea cases started early this week with the Rural Health Unit of Bagong noting 45 infections in different barangays on Tuesday. Villamor said there is still no declaration of an outbreak. Meantime, residents were advised to boil their drinking water or, if possible, consume bottled water for now. In Surigao del Sur, red tide toxins continued to affect the coastal waters of Lianga Town and Bislig City. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources said that shellfishes collected in these areas are still positive for paralytic shellfish poison. The same findings are also reported in the coastal waters of Dawis and Tagbilaran City in Bohol, Tambobo Bay in Negros Oriental, Daram Island, Cambatutay, and Irong-Irong Bays in Western Samar, Calubian and Cancabato Bay in Leyte, Murciélagos Bay in Zamboanga del Norte, and Baliti Bay in Davao Oriental. Fish, squids, shrimps, and crabs are safe to eat provided that they are fresh and washed thoroughly, and the internal organs such as gills and intestines are removed before cooking. In sports, the participating athletes in the 2021 Hanoi Southeast Asian Games will have to wait for at least 2 more weeks as the SEA Games Federation agreed not to vote again for the proposed postponement of the biennial meet. This after the Vietnamese Olympic Committee or VOC proposed a 2-week monitoring period regarding the current COVID-19 situation in Hanoi and its suburbs. The SEA Games Federation may decide on the postponement of the 2021 edition in its next meeting on July 8. During its June 9 meeting, the VOC proposed the postponement of the SEA Games to 2022, but was met with huge objection from 8 other national committees, including the Philippines. As of Thursday, Vietnam confirmed nearly 14,000 COVID-19 cases with over 5,600 recoveries and 70 fatalities. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources is stepping up in its regreening and reforestation efforts. In Central Luzon, the DNR has stepped up the propagation of bamboo species. The agency partnered with the local government unit of Hermosa in Bataan to propagate a bamboo species. They will also establish a 1.7-hectare bamboo setum or bamboo garden and nursery to increase forest cover under the National Greening Program. Environment Secretary Roy Sematu earlier ordered to plant and use bamboo as priority species to stabilize and rehabilitate river banks and the Manila Bay. The DNR and the Hermosa LGU have also initially planted some 30 propagules of yellow bamboo in the closed sanitary landfill in Barangay Mambog. They are set to plant and grow another 950 propagules of various species. In Eastern Visayas, the DNR renewed its call to plant trees as the country celebrated Philippine Arbor Day on June 25. The DNR said the public should take part in promoting a healthier ecosystem through the rehabilitation and regreening of the environment. On the same day, the agency led the distribution of 600 Yakal tree seedlings for free to walk-in clients of the Community Environment and Natural Resources Office in Palo, Leyte. Clients were asked to watch a nature conservation video, get more seedlings, and some freebies. Proclamation number 643 declared every June 25 as Philippine Arbor Day to be observed throughout the nation by planting trees and ornamental plants. Here's another look at today's biggest stories. Tributes and condolences pour in over the passing of former President Benigno Aquino III. A period of national mourning is in effect until July 3 to remember the former executive's legacy. Vaccination is a choice. The Department of Health says the public has autonomy on whether to get vaccinated or not against COVID-19. 10 more cities joined the government's priority areas for vaccination as it continues to boost the inoculation drive. The government says the deployment of vaccines also depend on the storage capacity of local government units. And let the games begin or not, the fate of this year's Southeast Asian Games remains hanging as Vietnam continues to monitor the coronavirus situation in capital Hanoi and its suburbs. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, visit our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I'm Marita Muaje. Have a good day.